Ever notice how some guys, as they get older, they kind of vanish from the social scene?
Yeah.
We got a ton of questions from listeners about this.
Really?
Turns out there's this huge Reddit thread, why men don't socialize anymore as they get older. Just blew up with comments.
Oh,
So
wow.
we're going to dive into that today,
No.
unpack all the different angles.
Sounds fascinating.
I'm curious, though, have you seen this happening yourself? Like with your dad, brother, friends?
It is interesting how much this question resonated. It's like everyone's noticed this about men and aging.
Right. And the thread, it's not just complaining.
Oh.
It's full of stories, explanations, even guys defending it.
Huh.
All of them just said, I'm tired. But is it just like physical exhaustion from work, family, all that?
I think if you dig a bit deeper, it might be more about emotional energy.
Oh, okay.
Think about it. All those social situations, it's constant effort. Reading people, keeping up appearances.
Yeah.
There was this one comment, a guy who works retail, he said by Friday night, he is done. Being around people all day at work makes him crave being alone.
So it's like socializing is a muscle and it gets tired out.
Exactly.
But then there's also this idea that as we age, we get pickier with our time, right? One comment that hit me hard, it said, an hour is a bigger chunk of your life the older you get.
That's so true. And with experience, maybe those, surface level hangouts just don't do it anymore.
Yeah.
You want deeper stuff, real conversations. But those take more time, more effort.
So it's not just having less time, it's that you're more careful with the time you do have.
Right.
Is that why so many guys were talking about finding peace in being alone?
Possibly.
Hobbies, pets, just chilling at home. One guy even said casual socializing is like fake pleasantries with people he'll never see again.
Huh.
He'd rather have deep talks with close friends.
There's that Mark Twain quote, the more I get to know people, the more I like my dog.
Classic.
He's being funny, of course.
Right.
But it does make you think, is liking solitude being content, or is it withdrawal?
Okay, brace yourself. Tons of comments were about the bullshit factor.
Bullshit.
Yeah, like they're just tired of the world's drama. Rather stay home where it's peaceful.
It is funny how many people feel that way, but bullshit can mean a lot of things, right?
True.
Some it's social drama, for others it's negativity in the news or maybe just feeling misunderstood.
One guy compared the quiet at home to all the complaining he hears out in the world.
Yeah, interesting.
It's like they're making a safe space from all that noise.
That actually ties into a psych concept called socio-emotional selectivity theory.
Uh-oh, big words.
Basically, as we age, we choose our social circles more carefully, quality over quantity.
Makes sense.
We care less about those surface interactions, more about the relationships that bring us joy.
So is this just a men thing? Or are women going through it too?
That's where the socialization gap comes in.
Okay.
Even from when they're little, boys and girls, they're often pushed toward different ways of relating. Think about it. Boys bond over activities, sports, competing, shared goals,
Yeah.
Girls, though, often it's talking, sharing feelings, just catching up.
So if guys are mainly connecting by doing things, what happens when those fade away?
Exactly.
Less free time, buddies move, your body can't handle those all-night poker games anymore.
Right. Those easy chances to connect, they vanish. And if you're not used to just calling someone up for a chat,
It's tough.
maintaining those bonds gets hard. But women, they're comfy with that conversation-based connection.
Yeah.
So adapting is easier for them. Coffee dates, phone calls, long chats at family get-togethers. It comes naturally.
Wouldn't technology help, though? Guys can stay in touch through online games, fantasy leagues, all that.
That's a good point. Tech definitely helps. But it's not the same as being face-to-face.
Right.
And for some guys, even that online stuff feels like a chore if there's no activity tied to it.
So they need a reason to connect, not just checking in. This whole thing about men and friendships as they age, it makes me think about the pressure to be stoic, to man up. That came up a lot in that Reddit thread.
Absolutely. Society expects men to be strong and silent, self-reliant.
Yeah.
They're not supposed to talk about their feelings, even with close friends.
Which can get lonely, I bet.
Incredibly isolating. If you can't be your true self, how can you have those deep connections?
It's like they're always putting on this act of masculinity, even when they're exhausted and just want to be real.
And that brings us back to that emotional energy we talked about. It's tiring to constantly hide your true feelings.
Makes sense.
So not only are men maybe socialized to connect in ways that get harder as they get older, but they've got this added burden of hiding their emotions.
No wonder so many just want to retreat into their own little world.
Right.
So if this is about how they were raised, societal pressure Can we even say men are choosing to be less social?
That's a tricky one. It's important to remember we're talking trends, not absolutes. Not every man gets less social with age, and plenty of women struggle with this too.
Sure.
But the patterns are definitely there.
And it's not about blaming anyone. It's about understanding the situation.
Right. Exactly.
So what can we do about this? How do we bridge this gap and make spaces where guys feel okay connecting for real?
It starts with awareness. Realizing these patterns exist, understanding where they come from, challenging those harmful ideas that say men can't be vulnerable, that they can't show their emotions.
So it's about making a culture where men feel supported, where it's okay to reach out, ask for help, just be themselves.
Exactly. And it's not just on men to change, it's on everyone.
True.
Women can be more understanding, supportive. We can make social spaces more inclusive.
Yeah.
And the most important thing, open, honest conversations about these issues.
Like we need to rethink what strong even means.
I like that.
Strength could be vulnerability. It could be asking for help. It could be showing up as you are, even when it's messy.
I agree.
But if guys are taught those things are weak, no wonder they struggled to connect.
That makes sense.
What about the guys who managed to keep those strong social connections as they get older? What are they doing differently? It seems like the guys who stay social, they kind of figure out how to adapt.
Yeah.
They're not stuck in those like traditional guy friendships.
What I noticed is a lot of them, they found ways to mix those activities with deeper connection.
Oh, okay.
One guy mentioned joining a running club where they actually talk about their lives while they run.
Oh, that's cool.
So it's not just about the miles, it's shared goals and emotional support.
It's like those activities can evolve. Not giving them up, just using them differently to connect.
Exactly. And another big thing was finding your tribe, people who get you, share your values, your interests, even your humor. That can get tough as we age.
Yeah, everyone's paths change.
Exactly.
So it's not just keeping those oldie friends, it's being open to new W ones too.
Yeah.
There was a guy who said he started taking improv classes in his 50s.
Wow.
Made a whole new group of friends who he could just be silly with.
It's never too late to find your people. That shows how stepping outside your comfort zone, it can lead to those unexpected bonds.
Like, it opens you up to totally different kinds of relationships.
Absolutely.
Challenges that idea that men just get stuck in their ways as they get older.
And it reminds us that growing as a person and connecting with others, they often go together.
Yeah.
When you're trying new things, learning, you naturally end up around people who are doing the same.
So it's not like it's guaranteed that men will become less social.
Right.
It's more about knowing those potential problems, exhaustion, societal pressures, priorities shifting.
And then finding ways to deal with them.
Exactly. Being proactive.
Yeah.
Seeking out those meaningful connections.
And challenging those old-fashioned ideas about masculinity.
The ones that stop us from truly being ourselves.
Yeah. And remembering that wanting connection, that's human. It's not weak to reach out, to want support.
To say, hey, I need a friend.
Exactly. If this deep dive has made you think about things, we want to hear about it.
Oh, yeah.
Head to Shauna Polder's YouTube channel, leave a comment, tell us your experiences, what hit home for you.
Cool.
And while you're there, if you haven't already, subscribe so you don't miss any future deep dives.
Awesome. And for even more explorations into life, relationships, all that good stuff, remember to subscribe to Voices of the Soul wherever you get your podcasts.
Yep.
We're super grateful you joined us today, and we'll catch you next time for another deep dive.
So it's not a given that guys will just become less social, right?
Right.
It's more about recognizing those bumps in the road.
Yeah.
The tiredness, the pressure from society, priorities changing.
I'm figuring out how to work with all that.
Being proactive, going out and finding those connections that matter.
And challenging those outdated ideas about what it means to be a man.
The ones that keep us from being our true selves.
Exactly. And remembering that wanting connection, that's a basic human need.
It's not a weakness to reach out, to want support, to say, hey, I need a friend.
If this deep dive has made you think about things, we want to hear from you.
Oh, yeah.
Head over to Shauna Pelage's YouTube channel and leave a comment. Tell us your experiences, what resonated with you.
Cool.
And while you're there, if you haven't already, subscribe so you don't miss any future deep dives.
Awesome. And for even more explorations into life, relationships, all that good stuff, remember to subscribe to Voices of the Soul wherever you get your podcasts.
We're so grateful you joined us today.
And we'll catch you next time for another deep dive.